So welcome back to the Wild West, guys. It looks like Native Americans are going to be a very big part of Red Dead Redemption 2. And, because of that, I'd expect to see brand new weaponry dedicated to the Native Americans. And we're going to go into details about what weapons we can expect from the Native Americans. And what's really cool about this is if this ends up being the case, and I would highly expect this considering all the teases we've seen about Native Americans in the trailers, you would be expected, I would think, to trade with Native Americans in some way, which I think would be awesome. So, first of all, what weapons can we expect? Let's go into this. We've got one of my personal favorite weapons. I'm going to start out with this one immediately because it comes from The Last of the Mohicans. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but it is the Gun Stock War Club. And it was really cool in that movie, and it just stuck out. It's famous because it looks similar to the wooden stocks of muskets and rifles of the time. It's a very heavy weapon and can really cause some absolute carnage against anyone that goes up against such a weapon. And it would be really, really cool to see in Red Dead Redemption 2 for sure. Now, some other weapons that would be very unique to see, of course, would be the Blowgun. Now, this would be very unique because, of course, you could have poisonous darts in there and all sorts of different ammunition for a Blowgun. So you could see what type of variety you could have just with the Blowgun. But you got to remember the Blowgun was also used for hunting, specifically fish. So that can be a very cool hunting mechanic introduced in Red Dead Redemption 2. And you cannot forget the bow and arrow. Mini games have embraced the bow and arrow, and it was something that was neglected in the first Red Dead Redemption, and this is a real opportunity to do some really cool stuff with the bow and arrow. I remember one game that really capitalized on the bow and arrow was Assassin's Creed 3. You could do all sorts of cool stuff with it. And I do remember Assassin's Creed 3 really quickly did have the rope dart in it where you could hang poor victims from trees and stuff like that. It would be neat to see that type of combination with the bow and arrow where you could create, traps and stuff like that with ropes and topple down horses. That's something, that's way out there, of course, that I would love to see from the bow and arrow. But you have to remember that, yes, of course, the Native Americans used their horses and loved them, and something that we could expect in terms of a horse-specific weapon would be the lance. Now, this was a very long pole and used by warriors atop the horses, and you can imagine this being a very popular mechanic. Besides, Battlefield 1 has fully embraced the use of, pikes on top of these horses during World War I, and it would be very cool to see this also introduced in some way in Red Dead Redemption 2 for sure. Of course, when you go off the horse, you do have spear variations, different types of spears that were used to basically counter horses in many ways, or even keep enemies at a distance and harass them in that way. And, you got to remember, you can always have the option to throw the spear and take down someone off a horse, which would be pretty epic looking and something that I would hope we can do. Now, one of the most famous melee weapons that the Indians did use was the Tomahawk, of course, and it would be awesome to see this return to Red Dead Redemption 2 in the Wild West. Of course, I personally think it would be very cool if you can progress your weapons no matter what weapon it is. Maybe you can't throw your Tomahawk at first. Maybe you don't understand how to do that. Maybe you can upgrade it and gain access to throwing abilities, dual wielding Tomahawks, that sort of thing. I'm hoping they go in depth with the weapon system a little bit more. It's something that GTA 5 kind of did with attachments to weapons and stuff like that. So I'm hoping they really do something extensive with weapon progression in Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, there were some other really cool weapons. Of course, you had your stone clubs, your axes, and knives, which would be cool to go up to crafting tables and craft such weapons, or trade. I think trading should be the focus here, not so much on the crafting side. I would prefer trading to be a big deal in Red Dead Redemption 2 over that crafting because of the tension that can be going on there, and, you want to keep good relations with the Indians, of course, to be able to get better and better weapons as the game progresses. At least that's what I'm really crossing my fingers that they tap into is the relationships that you can have with the Native Americans. But guys, there you have it. Just a look at some of the weapons we can expect from the Native Americans in Red Dead Redemption 2. I'd honestly expect a lot of these weapons to make appearances in the game because it does seem like, again, Native Americans are going to be a big deal this time around. But guys, if you have any weapons that you would love to see from Red Dead Redemption 2, post a comment down below. Thanks guys for watching. I will see you later and in the Wild Wild West soon enough.